All right, welcome to episode 18
Hey.
of the Beyond the Cubicle podcast. I think I forgot to say this in the last few episodes, but I am one of your hosts, Brian Montgomery.
I'm the other one, Eric Kelly.
In today's episode, we're talking about quality leadership.
Dude.
What are the qualities that make a great or good or great leader? Hey, man.
Man, it's going to take us all this time to go through that one.
The whole 30.
Yeah.
As always, grab your pen and your paper, sit back. But first, the intro. In episode 18, Beyond the Cubicle podcast. Let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping first. As always, social media. Catch us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at This Is BTC. You have some topics you want to suggest. Hey, some conversations you've been having. Advice that you need. Stories you want to share. Hit us up at the email podbtc@gmail.com. As always, big shout out to my hometown, Greenville, Mississippi, who plays the podcast on the local radio every Thursday at 5 p.m.
Hey.
All right. I want to start something new real quick.
Okay.
So, every week we talk about mindset and action, and I'll get into our spiel right now. The podcast is dedicated to those two things, and those two things will help you progress and succeed in your career. Mindset and action. We do it by focusing on a 4-letter acronym called PIES.
Absolutely.
P is for?
It's for productivity.
Performance.
You got to get something done.
That's it. I is for?
That's the image that you have.
Yep. E.
E is for exposure, who knows you and who knows you in a positive sense.
S.
Spirituality, nothing that we say matters if you don't get that one.
That's it. So what I want to start doing, man, is kind of giving weekly tips, man, based on our experiences of the week or the past couple weeks in between times that we record.
Cool.
And and maybe outside of the topics that might help somebody who's dealing with something else that we may not be discussing during the week.
Yep.
This week, I have a tip.
Okay, what you got?
Here's my tip: mindset and action. Right. So if I recently took over some new responsibilities in the last few months, right? And it's always a challenge when you're learning a different part of the business, right? Whatever business you're in, if you're kind of thrust into a new role and you're learning a different segment or a different part of the business, sometimes it's a little challenging. But sometimes we sit on that and we internalize that stress. And, we set the expectations that I can't tell my boss or my superior that I'm not doing well at this right now. But they see you.
They already know.
Right. So here's my tip. If you find yourself struggling with some new responsibilities, take on the mindset of humility. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay that you don't know it all. It's okay that you can't get it right away. But my tip would be the action from that is to do two things. Communicate that, number one. Communicate that to your boss in a way that says, hey, I'm kind of having a hard time grasping all this, but I'm trying. Right? Yeah. And then the other tip would be put in some extra time.
And learn it.
Put in some extra time to learn it. It's like going back to school every time.
Absolutely.
Put in some extra time. So that's our weekly tip for the week.
Sounds good, dude.
All right. Topic: quality leadership. Oh, this is going to be a loaded one.
You mean just because I want to be a boss doesn't mean that I'm a good leader?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, look, we crave power.
Oh, that's real.
Even the most humble of us crave power. You know what I mean? Like, let's just be real about that. But once you get it, there's a responsibility that comes along with it.
Absolutely.
And I've always tried to work on some of these qualities to prepare myself for a leadership role. And in many ways, I've had small leadership roles, not necessarily in my career, but, whether we be at church or, when I would do the plays and stuff, like kind of leading there. But you learn these things. So before we jump into some of these qualities, though, you have a ton of experience. And for those who haven't listened to some of the previous episodes, like Eric is basically a corporate consultant who is typically tasked with going in and giving direction to executive leadership in many companies and training and things like that. And so he spends a lot of time with directors and CEOs and CFOs and such, talking about these very things. And so I look to him a lot to just kind of prepare me mentally and in terms of quality on getting ready to become a leader. And so this episode, we're going to lean super heavy on his experience. And I'm sitting back and I'm learning stuff. So I'll be asking questions that I just, that I want to know about too. So first one though, like based on all of your experience, and you've had leadership roles in some very known companies and that type of thing. So based on your experience, man, what makes a good leader?
Well, let me set one up real quick. The only reason that an organization is going to put you in to a role of leadership, the only reason they're ever going to do it is because they feel like you are going to lead a team in the direction that they want you to go.
Right.
Nobody goes, oh, he's so great, he's so wonderful, she's so smart, she works so hard, let's make her a leader. That doesn't happen. What they do, if you're a hard worker, if you get done the things they need you to get done, if you accomplish the goals they put in front of you, if you solve problems that they have, they say, man, we've got a strategic thinker, we've got a critical thinker, we've got a leader here. Let's test them out to see if they can lead a team.
Right.
And if they can, let's see if they can lead a bigger team. And typically the Peter Principle plays out. You will basically ascend to the highest level of your incompetence, and that will be where it stops.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
That's life. So leadership, a couple of things happen, and we talked about it a little bit. In order to be a good leader, you got to be humble. Okay. Have you ever seen, dude, and we have, and I can use positions at churches that I've been in.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
There'll be a guy years ago, different church, I won't tell you where it is, but different church, different city, nobody that anybody knows. They made one guy the head deacon, dude. This is the job, dude.
I might know
the preacher doesn't have the power. It's the dude with the keys.
Right.
So the head deacon, and we laugh because his wife never let him drive to church. He always sat on the passenger side.
Get out of here.
And she was very directive where he was supposed to stand, sit, and whatever. But dude, they let him become the head deacon. And think about it. He couldn't drive to church. His weekly job definitely wasn't one that thrust him into the limelight. But they made him head deacon. How do you think he treated everybody else in that room?
That won't use that terminology.
So here's what it was. He came in, I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that, whatever. He needed that. His ego was so thirsty. Now here's why humility, and I love this as a thought, humility is so important. When your ego is that hungry as a leader, you're easily manipulated and you will not hold on to that leadership power long. If I work for you and I see that your ego is hungry and you're not humble and you're proud and you're puffed up, I won't do it now because I think my higher power would whisper to me. But you are more easily manipulated if you're not humble. If you're proud and arrogant, you are covering up for an insecurity. We all know that.
Right.
So if you are a good leader, you're humble enough to say, I don't know everything. I can listen more. I need to be humble because if you need to be puffed up and you need to be worshiped as the almighty czar of whatever this team is, you're going to lose it. And somebody that's not scrupulous will work you like a 9 to 2:30. That means they won't have to stay all day, and they'll push you wherever they need you to go. Your buttons are exposed.
Man, so yeah. And what I'm doing, if I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking about the bosses that I've had.
Oh yeah,
my direct supervisors, as well as just like the leadership hierarchy itself, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, man, like, I'll be honest with you, dude. I have been ridiculously blessed my entire career. And this is year. I'm not gonna say. Because I'm not that old. But,
yeah, but you're in the double digits now, baby.
Yeah, I'm in the double digits. It's like year 14. Okay. But I've been ridiculously blessed. I've only had one difficult manager in my entire career, and that was in year 3 of my career.
Yeah,
that was it. So everybody else, man, like I pick up some attributes that I see from them that I feel have made them like a good leader.
Awesome.
One of the things that I've seen is compassion.
Ooh.
The people who I've seen that have compassion on the people that they work with and they work for them, and I mean like genuine compassion. You know what I mean? They're typically beloved. And people will kind of break their necks to make sure that, you know, the group or the task succeeds. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We refer to that as referent power.
Okay.
There's positional power. And then there's referent power because I like you. Well, referent power is much stronger than positional power. They can say, Brian, I'm going to make you director of this division, this unit here, and I'm going to give you these 18 people. And may hate you. You have no referent power.
Right.
They can make that a very short-lived assignment.
Gee, that's true. I've seen that too.
However, there have been people, exactly, I work for a guy, trust me, he could ask me today to come find, you know, and I don't feel like going back into corporate that way, but if he asked me to come do something for him, I would consider it.
Right.
That's how cool he was. Because I know that he cared about me and had compassion on a real personal level.
Right. Yep.
So I think that's what gets people to really want to work for you. If everybody just did their job and you were a leader and they did everything just the way their job description put it and left at 5 o'clock or whenever the clock was over and went home, you'd lose your job. If you don't have somebody putting in more than, you know, what's absolutely necessary, you're not going to make the strides that your boss expects you to make as a leader. You're going to need people to do extra. And that's why think about the people you just mentioned. You had good bosses. Yep. Would you go the extra mile to help them?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's in their paycheck. That's how they got paid. I'll give you another. Herb Kelleher was the CEO of Southwest Airlines.
Southwest, yeah. I've heard his story so many.
He did a story. Yeah. He did a survey and said, how many of you guys would come in for a day and work for no pay? Dude, it was over 2/3 of their company.
Yeah.
That said we would work for a day with no pay. They took and calculated that out, and it was millions and millions of dollars of goodwill that he had with his employees.
That is crazy.
Now, if you want to talk about profitability, he had a couple of the smart things. He bought one plane style.
Yeah.
So all the parts fit all the parts of the other planes. Yeah. He kept his prices, they're not as low as they used to be, but he kept his prices kind of low. He had fun with the folks. He had so much goodwill built into his people that people loved to go fly that airline.
Right.
Now, that's the brightness about what he was doing. So when you start to look at what makes a good leader is somebody that makes you feel good about working on their team. You know, does somebody really want to work on your team? And that's a good leader.
Yeah. What other attribute?
You've got to be persuasive and clear in your communications. A lot of leaders think that just because you tell somebody something, that's going to get done. I need to persuade you why it's in your best interest.
Right.
And that's lost a lot. Now, my mom, rest her soul, she would tell us, you need to do this, or I'm bringing that belt or switch in. And I understood it was in my best interest to do it. But in the workplace, We're not beating people. Well, maybe we are sometimes, but we're not beating people as much.
Right.
But I need you to understand that if you do this, why it is a good thing for you. And as a leader, I need to be persuasive in order to get that done.
So persuasiveness.
Persuasive and clarity around my communications, whatever I'm telling you or asking you to do. By the way, as a boss, I never tell people what to do.
Really?
I always ask them, and here's how it works. My office is next to your office. Mine's is the bigger office. Okay, who probably gets paid more?
The bigger office.
Bigger office.
Yeah.
Okay, probably has the higher title.
Yeah.
Probably has control.
Absolutely.
I come next door to you. Rather than say, Brian, I want you to go do this. Here's what I'll do. I say, Brian, I need a favor. Can you help me out? And when I say, can you help me out? Now, I'm the boss. Are you likely to do it?
Yeah.
But what it sounded like was peers.
Like, I need you.
I need you.
Right.
You have value to me.
Right.
We're peers. And in other words, I know that I have a room that says you got to be here, but I need you as a coworker of mine to do something.
Right.
Can you help me?
Right.
And of course, you're going to say?
Sure, no problem.
Totally different than, hey, Bob, I need you to go over there and do this.
You know what? And now that you're saying that, I don't think I ever paid attention to it, but
they're smooth.
Again, yeah.
You've been doing a lot of work for smooth people, dude.
Yeah. But again, I guess that goes back to my comment. Like, I've been blessed that I've only had one difficult manager, and all the other ones, man, like I would rock for them.
They know this.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
They know this.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Absolutely. Like I said, and the ones that I would go the hardest for.
Yeah.
They definitely humble. They definitely have compassion. And they apparently they know how to be persuasive
and work you to death.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent leader.
Okay, so more to the human side of them.
Okay.
Is something that, like I am striving for more and more every day. But I think empathy is a big thing.
Yeah. And it's we recently came through the floods here in Houston.
Right.
And the scary thing, I mean, I look at how it was, dude. So many people were just in so many bad situations because of the flood. And it was like we became human just for a few days.
Yeah.
If somebody could walk into work and say, I just lost my barn, I just lost my house or whatever. And man, there would be genuine empathy from people that were genuine caring.
Absolutely.
And a couple of companies that I was doing work for, man, they did outstanding things for their employees. And it builds a bond.
It does.
If I know you actually care, now you can't be my professional boss now.
Right.
At this point, dude, I just lost my house, man. They got flooded out. You said, dude, what can we do to help you, man? What's up with that? We are now humans.
So to that point, right?
Yeah.
Here's an example, and I'm not saying that this happened.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, as a way to illustrate that particular attribute that you just said, right? So the floods happened, and a bad boss would be like, man, like, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, check your PTO to see how much time you have and see how much time you can take off. Right?
You ain't got no underwear.
Right.
How much time you got?
You know what I'm saying? A good boss would be like, you know what, man, look, I understand we got corporate rules and guidelines on this vacation and stuff, PTO, but it's like, look, man, whatever. Look, we don't have to worry about, putting in time and all that. Take as much time as you need. Let's not overdo it because we still need you to get some work done. But just communicate with me. Let me know what's going on. That's a good boss.
And from that interaction, I feel good about you as a boss.
Oh, absolutely. I almost feel indebted to you.
Yeah. At that point, we are so good. Let me flip side of that. Trillions of years ago, I worked in a community office, and there was a lady that was a supervisor of a group of ladies, and a lot of them were single moms. They had kids, so there was always drama if you listened to what was going on. So think about this in context of a mother and a child. This lady, she went up to supervisor. She said, my baby, I just got a call from my teacher. My baby's at school sick. Mm-hmm. My baby's, stomach's unsettled, hurling, whatever. I need to go take care of my kid. Mm-hmm. This supervisor said personal things should be taken care of on personal time. Now, I want you to think about a bond, and this happens all over. Some people listening to this have bosses that have done this.
Yeah.
Now, you don't go to prison, so you don't physically stab them with the scissors or anything. But a bond between mama and the baby, are you crazy?
No, sir.
However, this person, very cool. Now, let me tell you what happened. That same day, this supervisor's boyfriend called to break up with her. She flew out of the office. So oftentimes the feeling of non-empathy is towards the people that report to you.
Which is crazy because, again, why are you in that particular role?
Yeah.
If you're not trying to build and progress something.
Well, paycheck.
Marcus Lemonis. The guy who does The Prophet, one of my favorite TV shows.
Good boy.
He has his 3 Ps, right? People, product, and process. What's the first P? People.
People.
The one thing that I've gathered from watching that show for the last few years is no matter what building he walks into, no matter what business industry he walks into, the first thing he focuses on is who are your people? Right. And okay, you're the owner. Maybe you're the only one running the business. Okay, let me get to know you. Yeah. What are you going through personally? Yep. What are your pain points? Yep. How can I help you? And this is a billionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like, if a billionaire can have that much empathy towards his fellow human beings,
right?
Why can't a shift supervisor or a finance manager or HR manager or director or supervisor have the same level of empathy?
Well, let me kind of throw a twist in here.
Go.
A lot of it can be based on difference in personality styles.
Okay, so personality does play a role.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The difference in personality styles, I used one for a couple of organizations a few weeks ago. It's real cheap and dirty. It's called DISC. There's the driver. Then there is the intuitive salesperson, personality, live wire, whatever. Then there is the steady, and the steady pretty much is the conservative. I want everybody to be okay as a team. And then there's the analytical. So it's DISC. The D as a driver is focused on results. It does not mean that they don't care about people, but their number one motivation in any interaction is about results.
Okay.
Period. So, hey, did that get done? No? Okay. They're very fast. It's about results. They are perceived by many people in the organizations as jerks. They're not trying to be jerks. That's the way that they are. They're that way in their personal lives. They're that way. That's how they live. Results, results, results. Next step. The I types tend to, they're going to have fun. They're going to tell stories. They're going to make you laugh. They're the salespeople and the teachers and the folks that get folks going. Steady, persuading, and selling. Then your S's are your steadies. And this is the larger portion of folks that go to work. They want to do a good day's work for a good day's pay. They want people to feel good about where they work. They want them to feel steady in the place. They're the folks that enroll folks to make them feel like they're comfortable. And then your C's are your analyticals. They're very conscientious. They're looking at, does this number line up with this number? Does that number line up? And by the ways, in your field, because you're in finance, you need people that are analytical. You need people that don't, if you give me a spreadsheet, if I'm close, this is a story. I hope he's not listening, but if he is, I worked for a VP at one time, and we were trying to balance the budget for a major corporation. So if you're out there, man, I love you, but I won't tell your name. And we were trying to balance the budget, and we had stayed all night. And it was a few $1 million we were trying to do. We had stayed all night, and we got within $7. He said, That's close enough. Hey, why are we going to worry about that?
Not even gonna lie. That's how we roll too.
Yeah. We got within $7. He said, "Man," he said, "I'm a VP. $7, I'm good." He said, "I'll throw $7 in the kitty." Now, he wasn't a true, and he's MBA'd out. I mean, he's got all the degrees or whatever. He's not a true analytical. No. A true analytical conscientious,
right?
Dude, we'd have found that $7.
Yeah.
Okay, so your personality type does set up a lot of your behaviors. So empathy, think about a driver and empathy.
Yeah, it doesn't really line up with them then.
Absolutely doesn't.
Okay.
And they're not trying to be mean. That's just who they are.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What else?
You got to learn to collaborate and trust the people that work for you. You are not all-knowing. People think they are.
That plays into humility too, because in order to have a collaborative mindset, like, you have to be humble, because the first step in collaborating is saying, okay, I don't have all the knowledge or all the best ideas, and so I need other people to help on this particular task to make it the best that it can possibly be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen this I was actually down in another state, and I was talking to a minister there. And he was in an organization, and we were talking about organizational politics. And he said, my leader never comes to ask anything from us about how to solve any of the problems. Because he had an experienced leader. An experienced leader had used some form of what he had learned in the past, and he was doing okay. He said, but we really do have some ideas that might make this easier. Well, ego, once again, and that driver says, I don't need to hear from you. But the solution to a lot of their problems, they will understand. And we're talking about ministers. I'm not talking about, the corporate world as we do, the grind. Whoever their team leader was, he didn't feel like he needed to listen. Well, if you're not collaborative, you're working too hard. Why would you do all that work and you had all these minds working for you? Why wouldn't you bring them in a room, suck their brains dry of ideas, and then let them go back out?
Oh, man. Okay. So I'm trying to get myself in trouble here.
Okay.
Recently, we went through a transition at work. Transformation, transition, or whatever. So it was some things that shifted around. We're like a lot of us are now working for new management and that type of thing. Some of us are working for peers and that type of thing too, which is fine. But something that I've heard complained about, something that we've seen is managers holding on to tasks that could be used as a great tool for development for their direct reports, right? But they hold on to them because, and here's one of the explanations. Well, I want to figure it out for myself. And then when it's ready, I'll pass it on.
Here's my best impersonation. I'm trying to do a Darth Vader. The control gene is strong with this one.
Right.
It's about control, man.
Dude.
It's about control.
That bothers me.
And the ego says, why do you control something if you thought somebody else could do it as well? Wouldn't you let it go? Do you really think you're so much better than everybody that reports to you?
So is it about the credit?
It's about control. It's even beyond credit. Yes, they're going to take credit for it, but it's about the control. I have to control this. I've seen that in personal relationships, man. That's not just work. Somebody that has to be in control all the time.
Right. And I guess what I'm getting at is like piggybacking off of a collaborative mindset or collaboration with a boss, right?
Yep.
It's also the development part of it, right?
Absolutely.
Because if I can collaborate with my peers on the same line as me. Me and another manager, another supervisor can collaborate on this project. It can save the company money, blah, 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 blah. But I can also collaborate with my direct reports on a thing, right?
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, I'm also possibly developing.
Right.
And so another thing that I would add to a quality of a good leader is having a developing mindset.
Spot on. That makes your job easier and better. I talked to a guy last week, pretty high up in the organization. Like he's an officer level. He says, I just want to surround myself with smarter people than me so I can go home. I'm like, dude, you won. And I've watched him as he hires. He's straight up. He hires awesome people. He enjoys his family.
But that's also somebody who is confident enough to not be
the control gene.
And they're confident enough to not be afraid that somebody's coming for their spot as well, which is probably another quality.
Nobody's coming for this guy's spot.
Having courage is probably another quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that too, and I'm gonna link that back to the spiritual thing that we talk about. Man, I've got to have that connection so that I don't do the dumb things to people that cause me to fail as a leader.
Right.
I got to have that connection, that guidance.
All right. So far, here's what we've learned as a quick little recap. Qualities of a good leader: being humble, having humility, right? The ability to say, I don't know it all. Having compassion for those around you.
Absolutely.
Right, connecting on a human level.
Absolutely.
Having empathy, right? Which empathy and compassion are cousins, basically. Right? They go hand in hand. Being persuasive. To be a good leader, you have to be persuasive. You have to get everybody to follow your lead, be on the same page.
Yeah, for their own reasons.
Yeah, for their own reasons.
Right.
Move in the same direction. Clarity.
Yep.
Yeah, having clarity in your communications. You know, if you're going to be persuasive, you have to be clear on what the intentions and the goals are.
Yep.
You know, so that everybody understands where we're going. Having a collaborative mindset.
Yep.
And off of having a collaborative mindset, having a developing mindset to develop those under you. I think one more thing we talked about that we probably haven't mentioned yet, but it goes into all of this, with clarity especially, but being a good listener.
Absolutely. Definitely on the know-it-all side. Don't know so much that you don't listen to the people that report to you.
Well, true listening is exactly that.
You can learn something. My pop one day told me, he said, you can learn something from a pig. If the pig is telling you something you need, let the pig go, take the wisdom, and keep moving.
All right. So a couple of rapid fire things before we get out of here on this episode. Qualities of a good leader, right?
Yep.
Can you be born a good leader?
Some people say you can. I still think it comes from your nurture. I think you learn stuff as you grow up that you find effective and you follow it.
Yeah. I don't think you can be born a good leader. I think what we're born with most of the time is certain personality types.
Yes.
And I think depending on what that is, that may play into.
There you go.
But I think I'm with you, like 95 to 97% of it is nurture.
Yeah, we're going to pick it up along the way.
If you're not in leadership, okay, here you go. Two things. If you're not in leadership, how do I tell my manager, my direct supervisor, whatever, that I'm interested in a leadership role?
I think you just hit it, man. You go to your boss, you go to the person that leads and say, hey, I would like to be in leadership. Can you help develop me? Not, can you give me the next promotion? Can you help develop me? That just told me that you want, that you understand that you need to learn something. So I don't give you credit for being arrogant. Like, I should have the next promotion. I'm like, get out of here. That automatically tells me you're not going to get it.
Right.
But when you say, hey, can you help develop me to become a leader? Like, this person wants to learn. And at that point, they may give you a list of things to do and a list of things for you to think about that will help you decide whether or not you really want to become a leader.
So then right off of that, then what are some things that, people can do to start developing themselves?
I think you start going to leadership classes.
Okay.
Definitely start reading books on leadership. There's tons of stuff out there. Trillions of years ago, there's a book that's still not out of style called The 1 Minute Manager. It focuses so much on dealing with people. There's one of my favorite books right now, and people kind of blink. It's called The 48 Laws of Power. People have all kind of things to say about it, but when I read it, I can give you an instance for each of the examples that they put in there. There's so many good books on leadership.
Yeah, I started reading 48 Laws of Power about 2 years ago. And after I got through about the first 4 or 5 chapters, it scared me. Not even gonna lie. And
it's an awesome book.
The reason it scared me though was because it was just like it taps into this part of the human psyche. And it's almost like a cheat code.
It is.
It's like a cheat code to persuasiveness.
Yes.
And it was just like, oh my word.
Yeah.
But I kept reading.
Yeah.
Just saying. Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, I do like that. Both of those books actually. One of my old managers, he's going back to Atlanta now, but he actually mentioned to me some time ago about the 1 Minute Manager book.
Oh yeah. Awesome book. And
because he said it was one thing that he read that helped him change his management style.
Absolutely.
Man, okay. So
I'll get one more book.
Go.
You can Google it on Amazon.com. It's written by a guy I met named Eric Kelly. It's called Winning the Game.
I like that one.
And it's got a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about here, the pies you're going to see in there, and a little more tidbits, a couple of more stories. But yeah, he's an okay guy on Tuesdays. Yeah,
for the record, I've read this book, and I'm not just saying that because he's my co-host and he's my mentor and he's sitting right here beside me. I've actually read the book. It's a great book.
Easy read.
Yeah, easy read. Some personal stories in there too to help connect things. But it's a lot of the same stuff we talk about here on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So, qualities of a good leader, man. I think we got another one in the books.
I think we did it.
As always, thank you for listening. Share the podcast. Check us out and connect with us on social media. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. This is BTC. Hit us up at the email with stories, topic suggestions, comments, feedback. We want to hear from you. We want to connect with you. podbtc@gmail.com.
All right.
And as always, we'll check you in the next episode.